Greetings and salutations, fine people. I'm Patti Alvarez. Welcome to The Good Soul, a show where we'll have supercharged chats with everyday humans from all walks of life and unpack what in their story will inspire us all. We'll extract the untapped wisdom, distill it, and serve it up to you in all the right ways that will engage, enlighten, and most of all, inspire growth within your soul. I think people are awesome. So join me on this journey through the hearts and minds of ordinary people to uncover the good soul within you. This is The Good Soul. Welcome everybody to The Good Soul. I'm Patti Alvarez. I am here with Hargobind. Hargobind, how do I pronounce your last name?
Khalsa.
Khalsa. I'm thinking Khalsa. Khalsa. Welcome, Hargobind.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Yeah, it's so great to have you. So Hargobind, I would say, is a modern day Renaissance man, but kind of like to the umpteenth degree. Has anybody ever called you a Renaissance man before?
Every once in a while.
Okay.
Every once in a while I get a compliment.
Yeah, it's a compliment, and I think it's the truth more than anything. So we can get to why this episode is titled The Yoga Prince, because there is so much more. I mean, there's probably 50 titles I could have come up with off the top of my head, but I'm going to go with The Yoga Prince. We'll explain why later, and we're on episode 50. So let's get right to it. Talk to me, because I have questions, man. I have questions. Tell me about your history. Where did you grow up? What was life like for you? And what brought you here?
I was actually born in America. I grew up in an ashram. My parents, they were very involved in the Kundalini yoga community. And so we grew up with almost like sort of communally raised. And then when I was 12, I went to India and I went to boarding school. So I spent very formative years in Amritsar, which is northwest India. And I lived there from 12 to 17. And then I came back and kind of wandered around the United States for a while, traveled through Mexico, South America, and then, kind of got into the yoga business in various ways.
Can I ask you a couple quick questions?
Sure.
Where in America were you born?
In Virginia.
Okay. And was the ashram in Virginia also?
Yep.
Okay. And are your parents still alive?
My mother passed about 20 years ago.
Okay.
And my father,
Your father's still alive?
My father's doing great.
Yeah, actually, that's right. I was just reading through your book and your father had quoted. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you got to boarding school, were your parents with you? Did they go to India with you?
My father has a long history in India. He worked in Bangalore for many years, but I was in boarding school.
Okay.
So we were a bunch of kids on our own.
What made you guys decide that you were going to do that?
So it was the way that our community worked. Like all of the students of Yogi Bhajan, they kind of all raised their kids together. And then almost all of us also went to school in India together.
Okay. I had a friend growing up whose father did business in India. So she went to high school in New Delhi, but it was all with American kids.
Yeah.
Was that your situation or was it a mix?
We were definitely a mix, but there was a lot of Americans for the majority of the time that I was there. So it was definitely like an international school with a unique sort of twist to it.
Was English the primary language spoken?
English was a primary language. Yep.
Okay. And then did you learn to speak Hindu?
So I speak pretty rough Punjabi. And I speak also pretty rough Hindi. And my Hindi Punjabi is a mix. If you speak English, you probably will not speak to me in Punjabi. But if you only speak Punjabi or Hindi, you love my Hindi and Punjabi.
Oh, okay. All right. It's a great word.
It's great. It's a great culture. It's an amazing language. I read and write in Punjabi.
Wow.
But it's very much like I learned on the street. And then I'm also, 20 years removed, 25 years removed. Mm-hmm. So it's a little rough, but I love speaking it. I love I love sharing what I can. But if you speak English also, which is, especially in America, you definitely criticize my Punjabi.
Okay. All right. Well,
the word for jumping, I get a smile.
kind of like Manny's father is from Spain, and he says he doesn't speak, but he's fluent in Spanish. But it's like Rocky Balboa Spanish. It's Rocky Balboa Spanish.
Spanish person is talking to me like, hey, easy guy.
Yeah.
So was there religion mixed in at the ashram and at the boarding school?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
what do you mind sharing? What that religion?
I consider myself Sikh. The way that we were raised was definitely this like interesting mix of hippie culture, Sikh culture, yoga culture, Hindu culture, American culture, Indian culture in its own kind of mix of influences. But I generally follow the Sikh religion. I generally, consider myself, an observant practitioner, but I'm not super hardcore by any means.
It's got to be a challenge to adhere to the traditions living in America.
Certainly, I think for my lifestyle, yeah.
Yeah.
But I definitely take inspiration from it. I take inspiration from the texts. I do appreciate the philosophy. And even in Dharmafy, a lot of the way that I've interpreted my journal practice was definitely inspired by, I would say, the religious culture that I was raised in, and certainly the unique way I grew up.
Right. Can you give me like a little bit of a summary of what the Sikh religion stands for and the
Sure.
customs?
Sure. So Guru Nanak was born 1469, so it's a pretty new religion. It's maybe 500 years old. Guru Nanak grew up in a time of like heavy cultural influences from, Islamic Mughal Empire, which was coming in, plus lots of, Hindu religious practitioners. He took his own unique spin on spiritual religious culture. He was a writer. He was a traveling preacher. He wrote all of his text in musical, like in rag. So all of the prayers were meant to be sung. He preached kind of a universal brotherhood, sisterhood, this idea that all people were equal. He was a monotheistic person. So Sikhs are, followers of God, and they're also followers of a book, which is called the Sri Guru Granth Sahib. Guru Nanak was influenced by a lot of, other kind of spiritual mystics of the time. It definitely was a cultural renaissance in North India at that time. There was a group of 10 gurus, of which Guru Nanak was the first, ended with Hargobind Singh, and then they created the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, which is the book. That period lasted about 250 years, between, I guess, 1469 and 1710. The Sikhs became militant. Like, the idea was that all the Sikhs should also carry a kirpan. They should also learn how to protect themselves.
What's a kirpan?
Yeah, I was gonna ask
It's like a blade, like a knife.
Okay.
Like a sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a smaller one.
So what are they?
Samurai.
Samurai.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it out. Yeah.
Same sort of like spiritual martial
Significance,
culture.
right.
Then like all Sikh temples have free kitchens, so you're supposed to like serve everyone equally. Everyone sits on the floor. They eat amazing food. Like, if you go to any Sikh temple, you don't have to be Sikh. Nobody preaches to you. It's a very like accepting, I would say, religious culture. And so you go to a Sikh temple and anyone will feed you, kind of regardless of what your background is. I love that about the culture.
Is there prayer rituals and
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Okay.
So all of the writings of Guru Nanak were written as prayers. They're mostly like devotional texts or devotional poems.
Do you read them in English or in Punjabi?
They're all translated into English at this point.
Okay. And this was your whole life, or did you pick this up more or less?
No. This was how. Yeah, this was.
It was the ashram.
This was integrated into.
Okay, and where were your parents? Were they born like in Baltimore and
exactly,
Ohio?
Exactly.
I love it.
Totally.
That's
American
great.
as apple pie.
I love
and took a little turn.
That's great. It's fantastic. All right, guys,
turn.
listen, we're going to hit pause. We will be back. I can't wait to pick up where we left off here on episode 50 of The Good Soul. Don't go away. We'll be right back. This segment of The Good Soul is brought to you by Aaron Fisnick, certified luxury home specialist with Ivester Jackson Christie's International Real Estate. Aaron serves all levels of the greater Lake Norman region real estate market, and whether buying or selling, she is very much the lady who will deliver like no other. Many of us at Good Soul are also really happy clients. Aaron can be reached at 704-728-5657 or reach out to me and I'll get you guys connected. Thank you, Aaron Fisnick, and thank you guys for tuning in and supporting The Good Soul. Welcome back, everybody, to The Good Soul. We're on episode 50, and I'm lucky enough to be sitting next to the yoga prince, Hargobind. Welcome back, Hargobind. All right, so let's pick up. So I was saying on the break, I was kind of embarrassed. I'm like, is Hindu even a language? And he said Hindi is a language. But it was interesting what you said about India. That
About those languages mentioned.
India is an incredibly diverse place. So there's, I think, 211 official languages that are spoken throughout India. Obviously, Hindi is, English is actually the most commonly spoken language in India because it's almost everyone's second language. So, all the different states have their primary language, of which Hindi is probably the second most commonly spoken language in India. And then you've got Punjabi, you've got Bengali, you've got Marathi, you've got just all kinds of regional languages spread out. And it really reflects kind of the historical kingdoms that India ended up kind of smashing together and creating their kind of special, unique country.
And is there any common denominator between the languages, or are they all like from Chinese to?
One word that means something totally else.
Correct. So some do hold similar scripts. Urdu has words that have become incredibly common in Punjabi. Urdu influenced Hindi. Certainly in North India, there's so much influence of, especially on the, India Punjab side, so much Hindi influence into the way people speak Punjabi. Whereas like on the Pakistan side of Punjab, that's kind of more traditional Punjabi spoken because you don't have as much of the Hindi influence. So there's kind of numerous stories about that in, kind of throughout the states of India.
Okay. How do the different cultures coexist? Does everybody get along pretty smooth?
You could go pretty,
that's a whole nother episode.
It's a whole nother episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
challenging.
Yeah. We could
okay.
Go deep
so
into that.
Let's go back a little bit. What was life like on the ashram, and did you go to soccer and the school dance or anything, or everything was kind of homeschooled and you were in the ashram most of the time?
So in America, in the ashram, we were, it was definitely a unique way to grow up. Mm-hmm. It was Northern Virginia, which is kind of like a preppy, rich area. But then at the same time, we were sort of like an insular group where I grew up with another family in the house, and then all my neighbors, I would just run through their houses like we owned the place, mm-hmm. which is incredibly unusual and was really beautiful from a communal standpoint to have all these friends and all these adults around that you just felt extremely comfortable with. It was incredibly awkward because, I'm this little white boy with a turban running around. So we definitely grew up looking different.
Did you go to traditional schools or?
So I went to private school, in Northern Virginia till I was 12. So that was pretty normal.
That was normal.
That was definitely normal.
Football and everything growing up?
Mm-hmm.
Cavalier fan?
I warned him.
Don't represent the sport. I just had to throw it in there to get it a little
So we were diehard Redskins fans.
Oh, okay.
we were diehard Redskins fans.
All right. What are they now? Oh, they're the Commanders now. I was going to say the football team.
Yeah.
But I heard
very much, but then we were vegetarian. Nobody smoked or drank. Definitely no drugs. We would wake up early. So we would all wake up early. We would do our prayers together. We'd do our yoga practices together. We would, do like Sikh religious ceremony, and then we'd go off to school. And then we were kind of American kids at school. And then we would come back and, back into sort of like a communal.
Yeah. A kind of a bubble.
Communal bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did, you said safety. That feels good.
It worked for me.
Yeah. Well, clearly,
like
you turned out pretty awesome in my eyes. Did you feel different?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
it was like the captain of the cheerleading squad, like, oh, Hargobind, you're so cool because you were so different.
It went back and forth.
Okay.
It went back and forth. Like there were definitely moments where, in my situation, where you were the cool kid, and then there was definitely moments where, like, for example, I had long hair. So, there were times where you would just be mistaken for a girl, or, as you're growing up through those years, there were definitely incredibly awkward experiences.
What year were you born? How old are you?
83.
Okay.
40. I'll be 42 in May.
42. Okay, cool. All right, so let's skip over now. Boarding school. I think that's where you had your back injury, correct? Yep. Okay, can we get into that a little bit?
So when I was 16, I jumped off this building like parkour, and I broke my back.
I'm not laughing.
I jumped off a building.
All right.
Like 25 feet.
Oh, come on.
What made you do that?
We were just having fun.
You try to tuck and roll.
I didn't tuck and roll. I thought there was this set of mattresses there, and there wasn't.
Oh, great.
And so
you realize that, like
you just realize it. You realize it on the way down.
Yeah,
and
it's like a cartoon.
It's a theme in my life that I've had to learn what risks are worth taking and what skill set you have before you take certain risks. And I just learned that one at 16. So I had a compression fracture of L2. I was laid out on a on a bed for 3 weeks in a hospital in Delhi, and
I guess your parents came to town for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my dad showed up in a big way, and he was like, "You idiot!" And then he took care of me for a month, and that's really when I started doing yoga practice, because I had another wild injury where I was riding on top of a bus, which is actually pretty common in India.
Yeah, that's what I remember reading.
And I got blindsided by a cable, probably going like 40 miles an hour. It like ripped off my face pretty much. Broke the like maxilla bone. It tore out my teeth. It like disfigured a bunch of my other teeth. And so, between having dentures and back pain at 17, I was like an old man. I was like Benjamin Buttons.
Yeah, totally. Do you have any metal in your body? Are you bionic?
So, I got a bunch of titanium in my face.
Yeah, my husband is a bionic man too.
My eye, legs.
His is from fighting with everybody in his teens and 20s.
Good for you.
I don't know about that. I'm glad I missed that. I'm glad I missed that dynasty. Tell me something. I don't want to ask shallow, superficial questions, but inquiring minds want to know, did you ever go astray? Were you ever like, screw this, I'm smoking pot, or I'm getting drunk?
I mean, I drank a lot when I was 13.
Okay.
Like
You're 13.
I started young, between 13, 14, 15 was some of the wild. That's when the bus accident broke my back at 16. I definitely had some wild experiences, but... And then I kind of found this sort of middle path that I've been on, where I'm pretty relaxed about everything. And
okay. Do you feel like that back injury was so transformative and had to happen? Tell me why.
Well, what happened was I was just in pain if I didn't do yoga practice. And so the fact that I had pain and I had an antidote, I started doing lots of Ashtanga yoga. That's when I found the Bikram. I just wandered into Bikram studio in LA.
Which one?
2000, the La Cienega studio.
Oh my God, been there many times.
Yeah.
This is my favorite.
And that was 2001.
Okay.
And, and then I started just kind of wandering around LA at some point and started doing just all kinds of people's classes, and just found it to be so incredibly healing and positive and good for my mind, good for my body, good for my spirit. And I've kind of pretty much had a steady yoga practice for almost 25 years, 27 years now.
What brought you to Los Angeles? My favorite city.
So a guy named Gaprem, he was traveling, and I met him in Virginia, and he was just traveling through, and he gave me one of David Swenson's books on Ashtanga Yoga, and we just started practicing in my basement every day with the book, and it just made me feel really good. And so I just kept going. I went out, visited him, and he took me to all these different yoga studios, and he really changed my life in an incredibly positive way.
You still have a relationship with him now? Oh, that's great. Is he still in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
He is?
Yeah.
Is this where you met your ex-wife?
So we think we were in the same class.
Love it.
Probably.
On La Cienega?
Yeah, but I didn't meet
I might
her
have been there
till
too.
4 or 5 years. Yeah, I was there in the fall of 2001.
Okay.
And then she was an incredible teacher for me.
She taught with Bikram?
Yeah, she
Wow.
she studied with Bikram for probably 8 or 10 years before I met her. And and she taught me an incredible amount about yoga.
Yeah. Well, I always sleep in the Palapa.
Yeah.
And in that bathroom is a picture of her in Standing Bow. That bathroom off the kitchen at Casa Om. I just sit there like, oh. Yeah, it's an extraordinary picture, which is also in the equipment room at Casa Om Potomac.
Yep.
Great. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so you meet in Los Angeles, and is this where you marry, or do you move east?
So where did we go? So this was start of the boom of Bikram yoga.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to ask you to pause. Let's wrap this segment up. We're out of time. But guys, this is a good cliffhanger. Okay. So don't go away, guys. We're going to hear all about this on segment 3 of The Good Soul. Don't go away. Hey there, busy women in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. This is for you. If you've been struggling with fatigue, stubborn weight gain, restless nights, or gut issues that just won't quit, it's time to stop guessing and start healing. Kimberly is an integrative health practitioner and helps women uncover the root causes of their health challenges so they can feel energized, balanced, and truly alive again. Let's get to the bottom of what's holding you back. Book your free health strategy call today at KimberlyFlevy.com because you deserve to feel amazing every day. Welcome back, everybody, to The Good Soul. We're on episode 50. I'm here with the Yoga Prince, and we are talking. At this point, we left off here in Los Angeles, and Suri. Can you say her name for me?
Sirium.
So let's talk about it.
So we met in L.A. No, we met in New Mexico.
Oh, okay.
I think the first time, and then
on a yoga retreat or on a vacation,
like a yoga festival.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And we were together 17 years. We built 2 Bikram studios together.
And where were they?
One was in Fairfax. One was in Bethesda.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you did end up coming east then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And east. So we ended up coming back east. She still has that studio. So
awesome.
She still has a really nice studio. She calls it Siriom Hot Yoga.
Nice.
And it's a great space. So it's a fantastic space.
How far is that from where you live?
About 60 miles.
Oh,
about 90
easy.
minutes.
Okay,
easy.
Good.
And we have a daughter together. It was a great run. We got ourselves, we did a lot of big things, and got ourselves into some projects that were just pretty tough on us. And I think both of us have a tendency, I think, to kind of swing for the fences on things, which was great while it lasted. But there's a price you pay when things sort of go sideways, and you get yourself in over your head financially, or you get yourself in over your head in terms of what you've committed to. And then the pandemic hit, so we were pretty stretched thin, I think, both in terms of time and resources, and that eventually caught up to us.
It took a toll on things.
Took a toll.
Did you have Casa Om pre-pandemic?
So we did. We started Casa Om Mexico 2012. And then Casa Om Potomac 2018. And so pandemic hit 2020, and we're in the travel, health and wellness, and
everybody freeze.
Space. So it definitely was a challenging time. I think we ended up getting all of our businesses through it. I think we're both doing well, but we didn't make it as a couple.
Okay. Well, it sounds, I would have to guess that you still have an amicable relationship, and you get there.
Divorce is brutal.
It is.
Divorce is brutal, especially we have a child. We have we had our little mini empire. Yeah. And, so we had to figure out how to divvy it up. But
is she invested at all in Casa Om still, or is she completely broken away?
Yeah, completely.
Hey, listen, Saturday night, we were dancing and singing and partying it up with his ex-wife and her new boyfriend. So if somebody told him that 5 years ago, he would have been like, no way, Jose. Yeah. We've always gotten along. Oh, get out of here. She's wonderful. We have a great time. But it took a lot. It took a lot of time.
Sometimes you got to just give some space, give some time. My mantra is you wake up in the morning, do the best you can, go to bed, repeat the next day. Yeah. There's not much more to it. And that's my approach to so many things.
Yeah. That's the same with me. I was calm.
Yeah. We're great. Okay. So let's pivot a little bit more into the Casa Om.
Sure.
I do have a question. Is it challenging to do business in Mexico, in another country? No.
It's challenging to do business anywhere.
Okay. So there's nothing that stands out.
No. I mean, the challenge is it's an amazing property. I have an amazing team. It's an amazing part of Mexico. There's cultural differences. But I grew up in India. And if you want difficult, go to India. Like India is a wild place to do business.
How so?
The corruption, just the cultural differences. Yeah. Even, and it's so different from when I was there. India has changed so quickly over the last 25 years. So it's even hard for me to even speak on what it is today. But certainly back then, just the level of corruption was just astronomical.
So you said it got worse or better? Worse.
I can't say because I haven't been there. But just my experience, because I had a little business in India also.
What kind of business?
I ran the school store. And so I would buy and sell biscuits.
You were an onion man.
I was a little hustler.
The layers. I've always been a hustler too. From always.
Yeah.
Oh God. I'm thinking. So what I think of is, and again, I'm like Slumdog Millionaire. Like seeing how they operated, seeing like
there's some
Chai
great
Boy
scenes in that movie.
Is that pretty true to life for the most part?
Yeah, certainly with the singing boys and the beggars and it's a country of 1.2 billion people. It's 9 times as dense as the United States. Just the level of competition, how tight you have to be in business is incredible, and it's a very entrepreneurial culture. So I definitely felt like I grew up in that environment. So by the time I got to Mexico, I feel like it's like a similar version to India.
Yeah, they just look a little different and sound a little different. Were your parents entrepreneurs?
No.
What did they do for a living?
My dad was in sales. And my mother, she was like an artist, musician, creative.
Wow. Yeah. What were their names?
So my dad's name is Satwan Singh, and my mother's name was Satnam Kaur.
Is it rude to ask? Were they their birth names or?
So they changed their names.
Yeah, I have a few friends who've done it.
My dad doesn't like for me.
We don't
to
even
say.
have to say it. Yeah, no, that's okay. That's quite
I'm an open book.
That's,
that's it. I think my dad went. He made me take it out of the book because originally I wrote it.
Oh yeah, I love it.
And it was the only thing he complained about. And my dad's a saint. My dad is like the coolest, most supportive. He's like a better version of me. And he read the book. And if you read the book, it's pretty wild. And I was shocked that it was the only thing he asked me to take out.
That's really cool, though. What about your extended family? How do they feel about your parents' cultural shift? Are they all?
Oh, it was horrifying.
It was.
Oh, it was brutal.
Do you have a relationship with them now?
We're all super tight.
Yay! Oh, that's great news.
But it was horrible for a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, the joke that they tell is that my two grandmas got together and got totally wasted on the night of my parents' wedding because they were both mortified that not only would they marry each other, but they were a part of this whole thing. And
but all's well that ends well. It's like if we could just accept one another, there's no changing.
It's a two-way street, though. It's a two-way street because even if you ask, I think if you were to ask my parents, they would definitely say that I don't know what they would say. I'm not going to speak for them. My observation is that my grandparents are amazing. Mm-hmm. And that for them to have gone on this, they were just in so much pain and they really pushed their parents away. And it was more of them. It was a two-way street. I think that's the best way of putting it was, I think my parents could have been more savvy of like taking care of the family they were from. Mm-hmm. And I think my grandparents probably could have been a little more savvy in how they handled and accepting choices. But that's me. That's their business and just me reflecting on the generations. And
Okay, so Casa Om is a retreat center. Is there let's just like scale it down to the mission statement. What is your goal for both locations?
So I wanted to make it as easy as possible for yoga teachers to be successful. And I came up in the yoga teacher world. I did my first teacher training in 2000 in India and just found how hard this business is. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to create a space that was authentic to the yoga culture and at the same time incredibly supportive for yoga teachers coming in, yoga studios coming in, for them to be prosperous and successful. So I definitely scaled back. It's not an ashram. It's a for-profit business. It's not a nonprofit. It doesn't have some grandiose mission other than to be the yoga teacher's most friendly retreat center where they can be supported, respected, elevated, and they can prosper. Mm. So I definitely, the way I was raised was really hardcore. And I didn't want to do that. I saw a need in the marketplace. I saw a customer base that I had a lot of empathy for, and I wanted to serve those yoga teachers to make it as easy as possible for them to bring their groups, for studios like you to come in and have an amazing experience.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about this before the show it's really, unless you want to run all over town and teach yoga in every other studio and it's exhausting, it really is not the type of business you want to get into if you're, looking to get rich. Let's put that in quotes. So you find alternatives. We try to find alternatives here. I always say, if you have a side hustle, if you sell doTERRA or you want to do workshops, we can do that. And this is a great opportunity for even studio owners. I have an alternate means of income. I mean, this studio, I always say it's like a club. Ain't nobody getting rich around here, that's for sure. But it's rewarding in other ways, obviously. And on that note, we're going to hit pause. Guys, we'll be back for segment 4 because I'm so anxious to learn about cookbooks and reality TV shows and anything else you'd like to add in. So, yeah, guys, don't go away. We'll be back in a few on The Good Soul. Who isn't looking to get happy and healthy and empower themselves in an extraordinary fitness community? At Good Soul Hot Yoga, we offer life-changing yoga, strength training, cycling, and relaxing therapeutic classes that will make everything in your life feel better. For some power, balance, and peace of mind, we will deliver. Come experience our spa-like wonderland in the center of Mooresville. We will become your happy place. Welcome back, everybody, to The Good Soul. I am Patti. I'm here with the Yoga Prince, Hargobind. And Hargobind, I'm going to explain to everybody why I want to call you the Yoga Prince all the time. And I also love the word Hargo. I think that is such a cool word, as is, of course, your full name. So I think it was Adi, actually, who sent me, you have to take your students to this place. And it was Casa Om. It might have been Val, because Val does the OHYA retreats also there. But we ended up going to Mexico in 2022, I think was our first year. And it was beyond a hit. I mean, we had a full house. You go, basically what we do is we go to a retreat center and what is there, 10 bedrooms, 12 bedrooms, something like that. And Our students sign up, and we have our own chef. We have a hot room. And in Mexico, for example, and similar but different in Potomac, we're in this wonderful kind of downtown, Puerto Morelos, which is extraordinary. There's restaurants, there's beaches, there's all kinds of outdoor activities and the cenotes and everything. So we had a great time there. So then that spring we ventured, so that was in October of 2022, we ventured to Casa on Potomac. Actually, it might have even been 21, I can't remember. But anyway, and you were there. And I remember speaking on the phone with you, and this is Hargobind's book, Dharmify, which we'll get into in just a minute. But it was like I was talking to a celebrity. I was so excited. And you were so cool and down to earth. I was bummed that you weren't going to be in Mexico, but we were lucky enough to have you in Virginia, where you did all the cooking and you hosted with us, or you did most of the cooking. You had helpers. And I don't know how it came up, but I said you should write a children's book, or maybe you said, and I was like, yeah, do it. And you said, what do they call you in Virginia? West Virginia?
The kids' book is your idea for sure.
Oh, it is my idea.
That was
okay.
sweet of you.
All right.
And I think it's a great idea. So,
yeah.
So the Yoga Prince comes from, we offer yoga class, we offer a hot yoga class sometimes. And so the local community comes in. And one of my buddies, he comes over and he was coming for class, and he said he was running late because he stopped at Sheetz, which is the gas station.
Yeah, we love Sheetz.
And he ran into a friend of his, and the two guys were at the gas station, and one said to the other one, he's like, "Well, where you headed?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to the yoga place." And his buddy looks at him and he says, "Did you hear?" And he's like, "Hear what?" He's like, "There's this guy who teaches yoga, and he lives in a palace, and he's got this like thing on his head, and we think he's like a prince." And my buddy's like, he's like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, like he lives in a castle." And he's like, "Oh, you mean Hargo?" He's like, and the guy's like, "I don't know his name." And they're like, "We don't know who he is." And they're like, "But we think he's a prince."
Oh my God.
Prince Hargo.
Go with it.
I was like, "You've met the yoga prince."
Prince Hargo, my subjects.
I live in a castle and I teach yoga.
He's kind of right, a little.
Hey, tell your friends.
It's your castle.
Man, it literally looks like a castle, though. He's not far off. Right. And another thing, too, I think we're onto it like a plot line, too.
Yeah.
Like all the townspeople are like, who's the yoga
Who's the guy?
Yeah. It's like great.
Hey, all publicity is good publicity. So
Totally.
Tell him you met the prince.
So this was an interesting, too. This is a good segue, too, because going from Casa o Mexico, you open your book with the incredible, immense challenges you faced opening Potomac. Can you speak to that?
I was off budget by $700,000.
Yeah, that's.
And so you think about, I did a remodel and, it was overrun. I quite frankly blew it. And
how did you do that? Could you have changed that, or was it COVID?
It was a mix. It was just a mixture of partially being completely unprepared to do construction in America. Because I had done the remodel in Mexico, I thought America would be easier, and it just turned out to be dramatically harder. And just the building codes, fire department, health department, the unique challenges of 63 acres, road building, power requirements, drainage, water requirements, septic requirements. I just was unprepared for the level of just financial investment that was required, plus the remoteness of it. Plus now I had a daughter in the mix, to have a young child that Sienna was 4 now. So there was a family issue, there was financial issues, there was location issues. We had also sold our studios to Yoga Works, which put us into a non-compete within a certain radius with them.
Okay.
So we were locked down in terms of where we could go to actually work. So it was just a drain on resources unlike anything I had ever encountered.
Just sidebar, are those 2 Yoga Works studios still open that you sold to?
So we sold the Yoga Works. We sold to Yoga Works, and then Yoga Works went under in the pandemic.
They did. That's right. I'm
sorry.
So
then we took back one of the studios from Yoga Works. We actually did a really good deal with Yoga Works. We did a deal with the landlord.
Nice.
And that's the studio that Serium has now.
That's okay. Awesome. Yeah. Sorry to. And then were you the GC on Potomac?
Yeah.
Was that by force or by choice?
It was by force.
Did you have a contractor in the beginning and then it just...
For about 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. For 3 weeks of the 9 months, there was a GC.
I'm a contractor, so I hear you, man. I feel you.
What do you do? And also, what do you do with 63 acres? That is wild. So do you have to tend to that land? Are you selling part of the land?
I just subdivided it.
Okay.
And I have 3 plots now.
Okay.
One of them I just sold.
Congratulations.
And so I have 2 plots left that are currently for sale.
Okay. Anybody interested?
Yeah. If you're interested, I'd love for you to be my neighbor. I've got a beautiful 2-acre, beautiful 4-acre plot. They're gorgeous and ready to go.
Okay.
And in the grand scheme of things, that money is a blip in time. But for that year and a half, it was by far the most stressful period of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you'll have to read the book Dharmified, because as a seasoned entrepreneur, pretty much since I could walk, I've been through many financial challenges, and I still, it ebbs and flows in my life. And reading that really resonated with me, and I just started to read it, and I'm excited to see how it ends up. And it seems like you're probably still on a roller coaster like we all are, but it all works out in the end is what, if you know something, you know it.
I think so. I think your rewards are commensurate to your risks. And just going back to breaking my back, when you know what you're capable of, that's the time to take risk. And I think that in certain times of my life, I definitely took more risk than I was ready to handle. I wouldn't have it any other way.
I agree.
I like where I'm at. I like where I've landed. But in those periods, they were extremely painful.
Yeah. Frightening. I agree.
It did make me stronger.
So we have about 3 minutes left. I want to cover your books, and I want to cover Hot Yoga Hotel. So let's talk about the books.
Dharmify is a journal practice, and I took it from the yoga philosophy. I took it from the Sikh philosophy. I took it from a little bit of my own just life experience, and I turned it into a journal practice. Okay. And it's something that I offer as a workshop. And then I started to apply Dharmify to my love life. I started to apply it to, obviously, the entrepreneurial side, to grief, to even like just creating a method and a process for going through any big transitions in life. It shares a lot of my life story, where I learned these different lessons. It's an entertaining read. Yes. I think you'll get a kick out of it. It's also on Audible, so you can listen. It is on Audible. You can listen to it.
Yay! Okay.
It's a great book. My second book is the Recipes for Building Community. It's the Casa Home Potomac cookbook. It's all the recipes that we serve at Casa Home Potomac, but then it's a lot of the stories from hosting and hospitality. It's a lot of my belief system on service, on how to take care of people. All the recipes are made for 12 or more people. One of the big arguments I make in the book is that you should cook for your friends. You should cook for your community. You should cook for your yoga studio. The idea of bringing people together around food increases your feelings of happiness, increases your chance to meet and fall in love, increases your chance for learning and cultural exchange. So I hope you'll use those recipes, cook them for all your friends, throw a party, throw a yoga retreat. If you're in the yoga retreat business, it's your total blueprint for your recipes.
Okay. Take
it to another yoga retreat center, hand them the book, tell them, hey, this is what I want on my meals. I've cooked every single thing in there numerous times. It's just a great batch of recipes.
Are the protein balls in there?
They are.
Yum.
Absolutely.
Everyone's favorite. Yeah, I'm Italian. My mother was Italian. And my father was Irish, and I firmly believe that's part of what made you love me. He loves my cooking.
That's
the
the
cooking.
way.
Yeah, it's the way to it.
Yeah. Okay.
I know he eats everything I put in front. He was even vegan for a year. That came and went quick.
If she's cooking, you'll eat.
Yeah. Well, that's what Tommy
No, food is love.
Food is love.
Food is love.
Yeah.
Food
Okay.
is love.
So let's Hot Yoga Hotel.
Hot Yoga Hotel is a yoga retreat reality dating show. And
Whoa.
it stemmed out of Lovers Dharmify, because we started doing this workshop where we start to use Dharmify to deeply understand what's important in your love life, what your intentions are, what your investments are, what work you're willing to put in, what your clarity is in terms of who you're trying to attract into your life. And so you do that as a journal practice.
Is this for couples or for singles or both?
It's both.
It is.
It's really both. It's one of the realest, fastest ways to kind of understand where you're at in your relationships.
Okay.
And whether it's a love and interest, or it's just a brotherhood or sisterhood, parents, it's just a phenomenal way to deeply understand how you're feeling and then take bold, positive action to control what you can control.
Okay.
So then it started out as a joke on Facebook that, hey, let's do a reality
I know.
TV
I think
show.
I was a part of that post.
Yeah, it was your fault. You were like, oh, go. It'll be amazing.
Do it.
Oh, just go.
Well, a lot of
Just do
yogis
it.
take life way too seriously on those posts. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
they do.
God love them, but
No, attacking me on Facebook is some people's like
a career.
daily pastime.
Yeah. It's the best form of flattery.
So it is. Hey, if they're talking, if you're
good.
This is it. If they're talking, we're all winning. So I shot the pilot, and I had 7 amazing people participated in it. It's a great show. You can see it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
It was really well received. It's probably the best piece of content I've ever produced.
Love it.
It's the pilot, and my intention is to shoot a full season in beginning of Q3.
Do you have the footage already done, or you have to go?
I have to
back.
film. Yeah, I'll go film. And so I filmed the first one over 2 nights. This one will be filmed over 6 nights, and I'll produce 8 episodes out of it.
Great.
And that'll be, something that I'll release then once a week. And ideally, I'll sell it to a network. And I would love to send it out to all of America.
All right,
and
guys.
They need some Hot Yoga Hotel. But the
first
basic
to know.
concept, though, is similar to the cookbook, is that we need to rehumanize our dating connections. We need to bring people together. We need to show people a good time. We need to train ourselves to handle rejection, train ourselves to understand our feelings, and then ultimately, get to such a nice space of self-love and how we feel about ourselves, so that when we're dating and we're making connections, we're meeting people, we're really showing up as the best version of ourselves. And we know we do that through the yoga practice, through the cold plunge, through, just all the different health and wellness practices. So to create a dating environment mixed with the health and wellness practices gives us just a really great dating container to meet people.
I hate to do this, but we have to wrap it up. I'm so sorry. Where can people find you? What's the easiest way?
You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook.
Okay.
And
And you
I'm
can
on
find
social media.
And you can find him through me, so you can reach out to me. But Khalsa Om, Hargobind, thank you so much for being here.
My
You're
pleasure.
fantastic.
This
You're
is great.
amazing. And I hope you guys got as much out of this as I do. So keep tuning in, and we'll keep dishing you the good stuff. So thanks for being here. Again, mucho thanks. And we'll see you next time on Good Soul. Peace.